those guys, Enrico, Fermi, Niels, Bohr,
Yeah.
Heisenberg. So, I mean, just talk about them for a bit, because I know you're fascinated by them, and I'm curious about what it is about them that interests you.
It's very easy. The reason they're interesting is because they're smart. That's the beginning and the end of it. Smart people are fun. You know, they're fun to talk to.
Right, but what about them? What about Pauli? What about Heisenberg?
Well, what's interesting about them is basically how young they were.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed up in Sommerfeld's lab when they were like 19, and they didn't have much to go on. They knew there was something there because there's stuff missing, and so they decided it was quantum mechanics. I mean, that's astonishing. And Wittgenstein, who we've talked about, you know, said that one of the things he said, which is pretty outrageous, is that there's really nothing all that interesting to talk about anymore. Well, the Tractatus was published in English in 1922, and quantum mechanics was pretty much formalized by 1926. It didn't take long to do it.
Yeah.
That's only 4 years, and yet Wittgenstein doesn't seem to even be aware of this.
Right.
I mean, why is that?
Yeah.
That's baffling.
But he wasn't that interested in reality in that respect anyway.
Well, the reason he got into all this stuff was through mathematics. He was in England, and he was trying to make a career as a designing
kites, right? Yeah, he was an engineer, right, up in Manchester.
And so he was trying to design propellers, and he realized he didn't know how to do it.
Right.
And he didn't know enough math. And so he went to see Frege, and he said, who would I talk to about me? He said, well, go see Russell. So we went to see Russell. And by then he had really gotten the idea that mathematics was really interesting.
Yeah.
And Russell didn't know who he was. You know, he wrote a letter to Lady Adeline Morel that evening, and he said, I had a young German showed up here today. I said, I don't quite know what to make of him.
Yeah.
He said, we spent most of the evening with my attempting to get him to admit that there was zero probability that there was a rhinoceros in the room, with no luck whatsoever.